hola botar from Portugal. It's Get Out and Grow with the Happy Homesteaders. Munson here in Portugal on the Silver Coast. Head gardener Lee McGrady near the capital. And over in Devon, John and Anna. How are you? I'll come back to the head gardener in just a minute. How are you doing, Anna?
Doing well, keeping fairly busy. Garden's looking a little bit mad at the moment, but the weather's been really good. So been out and about making the most of the weather when I can, and it's currently 18 degrees I think here at the minute. So definitely getting warmer.
Very comfortable, excellent. Look, Lee's sniggering there because he's got 30 or something in Lisbon. But we'll come back to you with the first of the questions in just a moment. Anna, Senor Agatos, how are you? That's your name.
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
I'm okay. Not too bad, to be honest. I'm quite looking forward to it tonight, the gardening show. I think hopefully you seem to have a quite nice week. So yeah, quite good.
Excellent stuff. Okay, head gardener McGrady, how are you today? Well, he's frozen up. He may be hot, but he's frozen. No, there he is. There he is. Back again. No, frozen again.
Yeah. Okay. Destroyed a couple of wasp nests. But the sun is definitely out. Hitting 32 this afternoon, I think it got to.
32.
Can't complain.
Can't complain. No one listens if you do. Asian wasps. How big are we talking, Lee? And why is it important to get rid of these creatures?
It was massive. It was slightly scary, and I don't mean to scare easily, but this one made me jump a little bit.
Really?
It was big. It was bigger than you would imagine. But the nest, I think the solitary, I don't really know that much about them. I think the solitary creatures. So right. I was sat here and the nest pointed out to me, but there was nothing coming and going. So I thought it might be an abandoned wasp nest. So I just knocked it off my fingers to a bucket, and we had another one on the other side of the house, which I got rid of, which is full of small wasps. So I got rid of that as well. On the blinds, on the door shutter thing. When I came back to the outdoor kitchen, she'd returned, and she was massive in the same area where I'd just moved the nest from. So I'm glad you were at home. And I knocked it off my fingers. And it was really quick.
Yeah, they can give you quite a nasty. I mean, some people have a very bad allergic reaction to those, don't they? So you have to be careful with the big old Asian hornet here in Portugal. Probably not a problem in the southwest of England. Let's set the scene then before we go to you, Anna, with the first of the questions. Some lovely pictures in from Louise. Thank you so much for these. I've got a few from our plot as well, but this is fantastic. Look at that colour there. Thank you so much, Louise, for those beauties. And another shot of your garden there in central Portugal. So lovely to see your schist home as well a couple of weeks ago on the webinar. Fantastic. Really beautiful job you've done there in central Portugal. And, of course, this picture, an unwanted... How have you described this? Good evening, Carl. A few snaps of the flower beds as it's very colourful time of year. Also, one picture of an uninvited guest just below the eaves looking for birds' nests in the schist's walls. So that's what he's up to. Going for the eggs, going for the birds' eggs there, that snake. Maybe the same creature, same species as I saw in the water recently at Parc de Merendas. Forgive me if you're watching this morning and saw this already, but it's very good fun listening to my daughter screaming on this. Go, Dad, go. A 2-footer there in the water to give you some sense of scale. And we did. We waited, and it made its way towards us. So we were talking about this before the show. They are not scared, these creatures. I don't think they want to hurt you, but that's their kind of natural reaction, isn't it, to human beings, is I'm going to make my way towards this human being and make it run away. And they probably have a good laugh with each other every time they see a grown family run away from a snake coming out of the water. Fantastic. Thank you, Louise. And to anybody else who wants to send pictures in, 350 913 590 303. What am I talking about? That's the wrong number, is it? 351 00 351 913 590 303. I'll make sure you got the right number to go on the screen. There it is. Gave you the wrong country code there. You'll be sending a WhatsApp to Ireland. 351 913 590 303. Flies in the Flies in the studio this time of year as well. The temperature's up here on the Silver Coast, so you might see me swatting one of those on my forehead. Let's go to Anna now for the first of the questions. Anna, please.
Yeah, we have. I'm not sure where two of the question or where two of the people are from who sent in the question. By the way, so if you're tuned in, do feel free to let us know. But I have a first question from Amy, and has some sort of bug that is eating the leaves and flowers on my plants as soon as they start to grow. I use a spray of oil, water, and dish soap that helps with it. Any suggestions? That was the only information I had for that particular question.
Did you catch your head gardener?
Yeah, I did. You break it up a little bit, but I got the gist. Yeah, I saw the message earlier. It really depends on what the plants are. If it's in the allotment, if she's going veg and they're getting destroyed regular, but you can't see any insects on the plants, then I suspect it might be like a little mouse or a vole knocking around. So we kind of need a bit more information, because otherwise they should really be visible, the insects, stroke bugs that are knocking around on the plants. But she's doing the right thing with the soapy water mix. Do that more regularly, do it maybe twice a day. And that should put anything off. If you don't want to use proper chemicals, that should put anything off destroying your floral displays. But if it's vegetables, then I suspect it might be something a little bit more like a mammal. So have a good tidy up, clear all the debris from around, get rid of any sort of hiding places they could possibly have, especially if it's snails. If you've got a snail issue, go out at night, check with a torch, have a look about. But the best way to deal with snails and slugs is to move any sort of debris. If you've got like slates or buckets and pots knocking around, clear all them so you've got nowhere to hide.
So that's
generally, yeah.
With container gardening, that's one of the pitfalls, isn't it? That you've got a lot of hiding places for the slimy ones. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that, Anna. That was from Amy, I believe. Feel free to jump in at any time, John, with any of your fabulous insight. Hola, boa tarde a todos from Matty in Amsterdam. Nubianet here. Hey there, Matty. Louisa just finished her live. Yeah, yes, top and tailing here with the live streaming. You're absolutely right, Nubianet. You must have watched Mrs. M this afternoon. I see Carl starts at 10:15. That's 6:15 at Portugal time. But great to have you here, Nubianet. Thank you so much. Go Appleby, great nuts, says Pete. It's Monday. My well-missed replacement for Gardener's Question Time and David Bellamy is back. Just planted my veg garden. That's high praise, isn't it? Just planted my veg garden and lots of questions for the panel. Thank you very much, Pete. Send them in. Through the chat here, Lee gone for sprinklers rather than drip feeders, as like men of our age, I'm worried about my pipes getting a blockage. Is that the right choice, do you think, Lee?
With the sprinkler system, it's quite easy for the blockages because the sprinklers have an inbuilt filter inside them. Right. So you can twist off the heads, take out the plastic filter, rinse them under a tap and put them straight back in. Okay. It's a common problem. It just happens. With the drip feeds, they're a little bit more finicky. They don't have an inbuilt filter, so you have to take them off, let the system run for a few minutes, then twist the lids back on. Right. But if you've got like high calcium, like we have here, you can take them out. You can take out the drip feeders and leave them in a glass of like vinegar, like a strong vinegar.
Yeah.
Or soapy water will do the job, but vinegar works quicker. Leave it overnight, then you can replace them back in, give a bit of a scrub and brush, and put them back in. But it does happen when you get the high calcium, like we have here, this side of Lisbon.
Calcification in the pipe.
Yes.
With it. Do you have a view then, Lee, whether the soaking or the sprinkling is which is best, and which circumstances demand either of those respectively?
It's horses for courses. It's if you've got like up on the tomato bed, we use a drip feed system, but on the lawn, I have a sprinkler system. We have drip feeds in the small beds around, but then the plant pots get watered by the hose pipe. So it really depends on where you're gardening. If you've got a massive bit of land you need to drench, then the sprinkler system is obviously the way to go. If you want to direct it, individual plants, drip feed is perfect. So fantastic. Yeah, horses for.
And we'd love to know how you get on, Pete. So do let us know as the season progresses. Really exciting time to be in the garden, of course. Hola, boa noite, todos. 3 peas in a pod. We think this is Simon, don't we? Good evening to you, Simon and Fiona. And Matty getting in on the conversation about sprinklers and soakers as well. Thank you very much, Matty, for being here tonight. Not sure, but isn't the idea of the drip feed that it drips constantly? So why would it be blocked? Yes, it's the calcification, as Lee says there, that builds up over time. Paul, Louise, and as well. Sorry, Lee, go on.
Your sprinklers aren't on constantly. You can have them on for 15 minutes a day. And
okay.
You can have them 2 minutes a day. There's no time limit. And they all have different sorts of heads. So you can have a spray sprinkler system on your drip feed, or you can have an actual drip feed where it just drips very, very slowly.
All right.
So the same system with a different nipple works differently. Don't say that to man cavers. With a different application head, works differently for each plant.
Better. Okay, very good. Hi, Matty. Depends how clean your source water is. There we go. Louise straight in with a bit of help on that as well. If you have an open tank, you may need a filter on the outlet pipe. Interesting. Yes, the open tank will catch debris as well, which could block up your pipes too. Very interesting. Nothing fancy. We just use a small gauge kitchen sieve. Brilliant. Nice tip there, Louise. Thank you very much for that. And botartoros from Eric in Mexico, who says as well, oh, no, it wasn't Eric. It was Marty in Alaska. Those Asian wasps are scary, so you get them up there as well. I fish next to bears here in Alaska, and the wasps would scare me much more. Yeah, I suppose if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you get jabbed by one of those, you want to have your EpiPen with you, don't you? Mark in as well. Good evening, Mark. How are you? Good evening, Happy Homesteaders. Good evening to you. Right back at you. Igualmente. And Matty, I think, yes, you've got to the bottom of the sprinkler system. Excellent stuff. Paul, Louise, Lottie, spot on. The pipes get blocked with algae. And Matty, we are using a pump from the well, so plenty to gunk the droppers up. I think we've covered this quite comprehensively now. I think we're there with the sprinkling and the watering and the various systems there. But yeah, it'd be nice to know what's happening as the season progresses, Pete, if you will. Our snake count, says Lottie, this year is 6. It's almost mating season. They're not going to be bothered about you when they start mating, I'm sure. John, is this for you? Are you? Did you want to voice this one here? This particular comment?
Yes, this is my thing to read out. So if you did forget to let Anna know about your question, or if you have only just thought of one, let us know in the comments.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Haggett. Excellent stuff. Iris is here. Alabotar from Nazare. Now, Iris, remind me, where did you send those pictures? Was it to WhatsApp or was it to Messenger? Because I need to find those and show them to the head gardener. The OLP is in as well from Northern Montana. Fellow gardeners, greetings from you. Thank you very much indeed. That's fantastic. Another question from Pete. My pump is a little over vigorous. Any ideas on what I can do to stop it from draining my well so quickly? No hard water here, thank goodness. Just algae and blooming red Saharan stand. That's going to block your pipes up. I mean, he should be able to turn the pump down, shouldn't he?
Well, it depends where you got his pump from. Some of the cheaper pumps just work at a certain pressure. Because I know Pete's system is pumping out of an open well, but what he can do is he can turn down the on his digital box. He'll have a percentage mark on that. He can turn that down, or he can turn his individual sprinklers down. So the pump can work all at once. The sprinklers will only let a certain amount of water out.
Right.
Yeah, it's a complicated one with Pete because he's got quite an odd system going because he's pumping directly out of the well, not from a tap and not from the mains. So maybe he needs to turn his individual sprinklers down.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you for the question, Pete. And look, Laura, new member. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member of the Expats Portugal channel. We really appreciate that, Laura. Do you have a question for us? And Iris, thank you for all your questions. Well, all your pictures and the questions that go with them. So we'll come back to those. Pedro Gomes is here. Boa tarde a todos. And Facebook user. Who are you? Boa noite a todos as well. Thank you very much. So back to you, Anna.
Yes. Yeah, we have a question from Fiona, and this is quite a lengthy question, so I'll read it as best as I can. So, any tips on gardening, if possible? I'd like some more knowledge on planting young fruit trees. mostly grown as air grafts or from seed. I've just been given, it was written manga, so I think that was as it was. Manga, papaya, is it moringa as well?
Oh, excellent.
Guava, and I don't know if it's Anona, I'm not absolutely sure. And not sure what else. And I have a pot-bound banana to try and rescue. Where would it be best? Where would it best be? I don't know if it was meant to be suited or sighted or both. How deep, etc. Does it need manure or mulch? Basically, everything to do with planting a sad banana, please.
Let's race back to the start of Fee's question. The air grafted plants are fantastic, and it's something that's far more popular here than it is in the UK because we have a longer window for doing it. It has to be done at the right time of year in the UK. In Portugal, you can do it all the time. You can do it any time of the year. But when you cut the graft off, I would always suggest that goes into a bucket first of really good quality, either manure or compost, something really strong to encourage the roots to puff out rather than. So let me go back. Air grafting, you kind of put a container around a branch, and that starts to produce roots, and it can be a really tight ball. So you need to encourage them to expand out of that tight ball. So a really strong manure or compost will help them develop a strong root system before you put them into the ground. So take them off the tree as a graft, put them in a container for at least a year to let the roots really spread and develop. So that will be no problem. And then treat it like a normal fruit tree into a nice big hole, plenty of compost, break up the bottom of the hole so it's got room to go down. You'll have no problem with grafted trees. They're brilliant. The banana, we're quite lucky in Portugal. The bananas grow absolutely anywhere. I've seen them in gardens where they get no water. I've seen them in gardens where they're just in big tubs and buckets. So she could literally plant it anywhere and it will do okay. But again, when you dig your hole, make sure you break the bottom of the hole up as well so the roots can venture down. Because once it's pot bound, they won't want to come out, they want to go down. So that's always a good tip with pot bound trees. The other thing with banana plants is you need to be careful with the weather. When it gets too cold, the upper branches will start to brown off. You need to trim them back regular. As soon as you start seeing a browning leaf, just trim it off at the source and it'll be fine.
Is that a general principle, Lee, when you've got dead leaves? I mean, sometimes that can be a bit devastating, can't it? If you're a bit too quick to take off the dead leaves on some plants here.
It's not necessarily with every plant. I mean, you see a lot of yuccas where you leave the dead leaves on for months and months. It does them no harm. Yes. But with the banana plant, they hold water. The leaves are shaped in such a way that it gathers water inside the base of the leaf that's up against the trunk. And that encourages bacteria and fungus to grow. Because it'll hold the water for weeks and weeks, and then that's where you get a problem. So they're a bit tough as well, the bananas. You have to really pull the leaf back and cut right up against the main trunk of the tree to get rid of all that water that's built up. But if you don't take the brown leaves off, then you're asking for trouble with it. You're gonna get issues.
All right, just if we could quickly, there's a few questions that have come in as a result of this question. I was told, says Pete, that bananas move slowly as they are a herb from plantation owners. Is that true? Is he making a cannabis connection there with the banana tree? Are they the same species or something? Is that the point Pete's making there?
The actual natural banana plant isn't an edible fruit. It's been cultivated to be an edible fruit.
Right.
So there are many varieties of banana.
Yeah.
And sort of therefore many varieties of plant, but the care of them all is pretty much the same.
Okay.
And I've heard people say that they're slow growing, but then I've seen one of my customers, 3-year customer, the plant has trebled in size. It's now 14 feet tall. And it was like 8 foot when I took over the garden, and that's in a pot. That's going to be pot bound. You know, so some some species will race away, and others might be a little bit slow. Gotcha. I think it really depends on the genus of the plant.
All right, and going back a bit, back to basics, and I think we've got a question from Jenny as well, haven't we? A little bit later on, but air grafts, what are they?
Air grafts are amazing. So it's done in different ways. You can add a graft to a plant by cutting a branch and adding a different type of tree to that branch. So if you've got a lemon tree, you can graft it on an orange tree branch, and it will grow, and it will produce orange fruit on a lemon tree. But then you can take a graft from a plant by making small cuts in the branch, compacting soil around it, and tightening it in like a bag or a bowl you can buy especially for it. So the plant then starts to root where you've made the incisions into the bark. And then you leave it a year, and you can cut off that graft, and you've got a replica of the tree that you took the graft from.
Cool.
It's fascinating. All traditional roses are grafted, because roses again aren't a traditional plant. So that's how we get the varieties of roses, because they're all grafted in the nurseries.
Yeah.
There's a million videos on YouTube about it that can explain it far better than I can. But it's something, if you're interested in growing fruit trees in Portugal, grafting is something you should be looking at on YouTube and educating yourself. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you for that tip. That's fantastic. So genetic modification is nothing new, is it? Humans have been at it for centuries.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Let's go to Iris then, and back to you, Jenny, later, because I believe we do have a question from you. This is to go with the pictures I'm about to show you. Please pass to the gardening team again. This is an indoor palm, which was doing great for a while. Then this started happening to the leaves. Any idea why? And I'm going to have to probably tell you, Lee, because it might be a bit small on your screen, but they've gone very dark. What's what?
Yeah, that's I had the exact same issue with one of mine at home, which has sadly passed away.
Right, okay.
But the palms don't like to sit in water, which is something I've learned in Portugal, because it's different in England. In England you underwater them. In Portugal you have to overwater them, but don't let them sit in water.
Okay. So
the best way to do it is to take the plant out and put into a dish of water. Let the compost soak up the water, then put it back into its position.
Right.
Or water it in its container, then remove any excess water from it.
Yeah.
Because they don't like to have damp feet. So, yeah.
Right.
I've done the same with one of mine, so don't feel too guilty about it.
Don't feel too bad.
I think she's caught it quite at the right time. A lot of those leaves look really dry on it, and if you pull the stem, it'll come out with like a little, almost like a ball on the bottom of the stem. Pull them out and get rid of them. All the ones that are still healthy, leave them there and start to feed it now every 2 weeks for the rest of the summer, and it will boom. It'll flourish.
You might not be able to see this, Lee, but this palm is direct into a pot with no drainage, so it might just be sitting in a swamp, mightn't it? And that might be the problem.
Yes, that'll be the problem.
Okay.
So one of my other recommendations for that, then, for any house plant really, is leave it in the nursery pot when you buy it.
Yeah.
And put the nursery pot to your fancy container.
Yeah.
Into your fancy plant pot. Then you can easily take it out, get rid of the old water, and add feed into the bottom of the fancy pot. But the plant should really always stay in the nursery pot. So when you're potting on, you pot into another plastic container, which is then hidden. Got the hornets back. The wasp is back.
Yes, he might be distracted for a little while. Are you going to show us?
No, I've got a bit of an issue. I'm going to move away for a second. I thought I killed it with a fly spray anyway, but she's come back in. Just one moment. I'm going to have to kill something.
Right. We'll take him off the screen for this grisly moment here and see what. Have you seen any comments, John, that you want to pick up on here? Oh, hold on a minute.
Not as such. I think Anna's done a very good job of that. But I was going to ask Lee about good ways of getting hedgehogs in the gardens, because I know we did that before, but I thought
Oh, yes.
if we did a sort of refresher of that, because we were talking a bit earlier about slugs, weren't we?
Yep.
So I thought, yeah, that would be something worth talking about.
Okay, well, we'll ask him when he comes back. Then we'll jump on that. He's got his fly spray out. I'm not sure we should have live footage of an Asian hornet being destroyed, but I think that might be what's going on at Lee's house at the moment. We'll come back to him, and we'll pick up on some other comments. That question from you, Eric, that's one for Lee, clearly, and Phil, probably for Lee as well. But just beginning the pruning, yes, it is late, looking for advice on the best pruners. As in the tools. Great to see you at the weekend, Phil. Are we pruning only for dead, damaged, and diseased at this time? Looking for tool recommendations. Okay, we'll come back to that as well. That's fantastic. And the head gardener is back. Did that go okay?
Well, she's gone. We've sprayed her again. And she's disappeared out the kitchen. Team effort. I was going to try and swat it and show you live on air. Dead wasp, but I was a bit scared and can't let it with the spray before I got a chance. So.
Yeah, there's a whole team on it over there.
We're in the midst of insect spray now.
Enjoy. Be careful. Hopefully, it's not flammable. What's going on over there? We're having a smoke and a beer while the show is on here. We have some other pictures from Iris. If we can continue with, I think Iris is possibly in that situation at home with the plants where you just feel like nothing's going right, and that's very soul destroying. So let's see what we can do. A very yellow rubber plant leaf there, if I've got the species right. Can you see that okay?
Just about, yeah. Oh, gosh.
Well, that's looking proper deadly, that one, isn't it? What's going on here?
Again, it's actually time of year. I did mine on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon when I got a hangover. I went around the apartment and took all the slightly coloured leaves off. But if you look at the base of the plants, you'll see a lot of new leaves coming on.
Yeah.
So, sharp knife or a good pair of secateurs.
Yeah. Clean.
That's important to make sure you disinfect them first, because houseplants are very touchy about it.
Okay.
So,
sensitive houseplants.
Cut any sort of discoloured plants off, anything that's dead, damaged, or diseased, as we always say.
Yeah.
As far back as you can. And it'll be fine. I took a small bag off my 12 or 14 plants over Sunday.
Well, you really went for it. Okay.
Quite not.
Right. Does the temperature matter? I mean, did you do it because you were hungover, or did you do it because the temperature had risen to a certain level?
This last week, I've noticed a load of new shoots coming up on all the houseplants.
Okay. All right.
And so it was just a temperature thing. Yeah, it's a temperature. So get rid of all the old stuff, all the stuff that's not looking so good that I've put up with over the winter. To let all the new stuff through, so it's not wasting energy.
And really enjoy the change of temperature. Okay. And now outside with the geranium, and we've got some yellow leaves here. I think this is a bit of infestation going on here that Iris is concerned about. So she's not happy about this. The comment that goes with that, let me just find that, is, these outdoor plants, the geraniums, the leaves keep turning yellow. Is this from bugs? What to do? Or is it something else, Lee?
Again, that's just natural. Geraniums in England are kept for a short time. You have to bring them in, take them out because of the weather differences.
Yeah.
Again, here in Portugal, the weather's kicking in now. It's getting hot. So it's going to start to shed all its unwanted leaves, all its old leaves, anything that's not producing anymore. So again, sharp knife, secateurs, snip them off. The more you can get rid of, the better plant will bounce back. So anything that's really plugged and healthy, leave. Anything that looks a little bit dodgy, just take it off, because the plant doesn't need it.
All right, so they'd be quite ruthless. That's geraniums for you. Yeah, Mrs. M had one in the garden, thought she'd killed it, and it's back. It's back now. So carry on.
Because they are so thirsty this time of year, so plenty of water on them as well.
Plenty of water on them as well then, Iris. Just beginning the pruning. Over to Phil now. Yes, it's late. All on the Silver Coast. The action tonight, looking for advice on the best pruners. And by that, he means tools. This is I think quite a lot of pruning that's going to be going on. So you need something pretty sturdy. Pruning only for dead, damaged, and diseases, you said there, Lee. Looking for tool recommendations. I had a quick chat with Phil about this off air when we met up. There are rechargeable kind of electronic pruners, aren't there, that have got a nice bite on them. Is that going too far?
Yeah, I'd break them. I'd break them up, get to charge them. I saw some the other week that were a bit out of my price range. Some that were like double hinged, and they were designed for the older gardener. So you can cut a thicker branch with less pressure.
Okay.
And they come in around 35, 40 euros a piece. Okay. But because I go through them regular, and I lose them, I break them, I destroy them. I don't want to spend more than a tenner on my secateurs. But when it comes to loppers, if you want something bigger, always go for the ones with the extendable handles if you can.
Yeah.
If you don't want to use them every day like I do, if you want something that's got a good, strong bite on it, the extendable handles are great. Because you're not overstressing yourself getting at them. But again, it's what you can afford, and with stuff like that, the money does make a difference. If you spend a lot of money on them, you'll get quality equipment.
Yeah, but you got to look after that stuff. Can't leave it outside overnight or whatever and get rusty. But yes, as cheap as a tenner by the sound of it, from the middle aisle of Lidl, probably.
If you go to Leroy, they've got some real good stuff in. The secateurs in Leroy Merlin. They have cheap ones in at €4 or €5, but the ones at around 10 to 15 euros, they're really quite good quality.
They keep
sharp.
Okay, we're talking about secateurs or loppers here. Are we talking about secateurs or loppers?
We're talking about secateurs secateurs between 10 and 15 euros for a good one from Leroy Merlin. Loppers, 20 euros upwards, depending on how crazy you want to get.
All right.
Yeah. Go for the branded ones, not the Leroy Merlin ones as well.
There you go.
Go for something branded, so a little bit better quality.
Good luck, Phil. Who's working on olives, pears, figs, oranges, and lemons? Lucky man. Good time to prune lemons and oranges, says Louise. If you have many oranges and lemons, then hard prune, reshape half of them, as they may have already set fruit for next year. Yeah, that's what you said in the past, of course. Stephen Wells is with us. Is Lee using fly spray and a lighter? I'm worried about Lee. Those wasps are bad news. We're okay. He's alive and well on your screen, as you can see here. But thank you for your concern, everybody. Pears, odd now, but leave hard pruning until November. Olives, dead. Oh, that's the DDD, isn't it? So not odd, but DDD, yeah, dead, diseased and damaged now, but leave hard pruning until November on the pears and olives. Only go with the 3Ds there. Should we remove last year's fruit? This is Pete getting a bit of help from Louise. You might want to chip in on this as well, Lee. Should we remove last year's fruit, as it does seem to be getting sweeter? But another mate said the oranges will rot in the tree. That's a good question. We also have bees' nests in the tree, so no pruning yet. What to do? Should fruit be picked, or will that help?
We did the fruit here a month ago, where we give the trees a real good shake and got them all off. Just because, Mike, they start to rot in the tree, and that encourages disease and infestation, which you really don't want. And obviously fungus because of the dampness in the fruit itself. So we try to remove everything. And I've just noticed today that we've got some cracking little lemons coming in on the small lemon tree from the garden, and it is only 6 foot tall, and there must be on the far corner by the drive gate. It's a lemon tree. It's got maybe 30 really small lemons coming off of it. I'm dead impressed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Dev, come on.
Good stuff. And I know that Lee gives them away. So you pick them and you put them in a box out on the street, and people take them away in the neighbourhood, don't they? If one had a somewhat modest garden area and a large banana tree was in the midst of the garden, would it be wise to remove it? I suppose the danger of a banana overshadowing your production there I think that's probably what's behind Marty's question.
I think have I froze?
No, you're good. You're good.
I think you can hear you. I think the banana tree is a beautiful plant. It's really nice. But obviously it's personal choice. And as we've said before, the definition of a weed is a plant in the wrong place. So if it's a huge tree that's taking up all the garden and they feel it's getting in the way of enjoying the garden, then get rid of it. It's just a plant. But I really do like them. And I'm a bit jealous that someone's got a banana tree. It's a problem, because that's the problem I'd like to have. Yeah,
they're magnificent, aren't they? Wasp Deterrent quickly then before we go for another question from Anna. And I know John's got a question for you, Lee. Wasp Deterrent, hang a brown paper bag in a prominent place near the house. the wasp think there's already a nest there, so we'll not go near. That's a great tip, isn't it? Does that become a wet paper bag, though, proverbially speaking, in bad weather? I guess that it's the shape and the crispiness and the sound, possibly, that deters them. But that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Louise. And thanks, Iris is saying to you, Lee, I have been snipping, cutting. Zoom won't have any, soon won't have any plants left. You got to know when to stop. So, Anna, I think we've got one or two more.
The problem is, when you've gone a little bit too far, it will always bounce back, especially with this time of year, especially with geraniums. You can't really cut too much off because they will always return.
Very
so
good.
Don't really panic. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Super duper. Okay, Anna, have we got any more from you? I think we do.
I've got a short question. I'm just trying to work out whether to go for the picture question from Jenny, or have we done that one?
No, we haven't. Let's go to Jenny. Absolutely. I'll find Jenny's picture if you ask the question.
This one's a bit of a multiple choice in far of what's happening is concerned. But what's my clementine trying to tell me? Could it be water too acidic, not enough water, mole annoying the plant roots, or something else?
Was it clementine or clematis?
It was a clematis, wasn't it? I think, and I'm trying to find the picture. And we've got quite a few channels of communication open, so I can't lay my fingers on the picture right now. But it was a clematis that we're asking about there, I think, Lee.
Well, I'm guessing, because I've not seen the picture, but I'm guessing the leaves are turning slightly yellow, and she's getting a lot of dead fall off it, which is bits of old shoot that are starting to drop off now. So it might be looking a little bit sad, which is kind of normal this time of year. They go through an early growth spurt, and then they kind of die back a little bit and come on again. So it might be completely natural. I don't think a mole will be bothering her that much, because once they get going, they're fine. You can't get rid of them.
Right.
But plenty of water. If you can get access to the root system, add a bit of compost onto that. Maybe even a bit of strong manure or a liquid feed, and it'll be fine. It's just clematis this time of year do look a little bit sad.
Okay. Hopefully that is the right answer for you there, Jenny. I really can't find that picture, Anna. If you could remind me where that was sent, we can come back to that just to confirm. But what was your other question that you had there?
The other one I had was which vegetables do well in cold weather?
Oh, good question.
Oh, stuff like brassicas, so sprouts, broccoli, cabbages, they are like a winter staple. Kale does really well. Spinach is a traditional grown early winter, late winter in England, so they do really well. So anything really dark green, go for like the dark green and the bitter vegetables. They are like the traditional winter forage. Sprouts do brilliantly in winter. Start them off at the right time of year if it gets too frosty, and then go into them outside, no problem at all. But
great
that should be a question that we get in October, surely. It's a bit wrong time of year for that. Unless people are planning ahead. Yeah.
Jenny's happy with her answer. Awesome, thank you. And I feel like I need to show the picture as well, because I have found it now. Thank you for sending that to me via WhatsApp, Anna. And anyone else who wants to do the same, 351 913 590 303. And that's your clematis there. Do you say clematis or clematis? I don't think we've ever got to the bottom of this, but we know what we're talking about there. And it's yellowing a little, isn't it, on the leaves, and looking a little bit straggly.
A little bit sad.
Yeah. Okay, so there it is. John, you had a very interesting question for Lee, a way of keeping pests down.
Yes, I did. I was thinking maybe a good way of getting rid of slugs and snails in particular would be trying to get hedgehogs into the garden. So I was just wondering, just for the listeners and for everyone, whether there are he's in the fridge. How many good ways there are of getting hedgehogs into the garden, Lee? That's what I was going to ask.
Well, it's a good question, because I love hedgehogs. And a few years ago, the PCA. We're encouraging people to put little hedgehog gates in the garden fence, because as gardens have got, as people have got rid of hedges and replaced it with rain like fencing, the hedgehog can't now navigate between people's gardens. So having that little bit of open space in your garden fence, where they can get into and out of your garden and into your neighbour's garden, leaving little piles of broken branches, little lumps of wild area in your garden where they've got somewhere to overnight and sleep is another perfect spot for doing it. But I think we've mentioned this before, hedgehog boxes, hedgehog nest boxes. They are a thing. I know that some of the garden centres were selling them, and I read a paper from the Royal Horticultural Society saying that they did a survey, and the hedgehogs preferred the ones that people made compared to ones that people bought. So if you look online for hedgehog boxes, make your own, semi-bury it. Hedgehogs love them, and they are a great way to control lots more pests than just slugs and snails. They will eat everything.
That's
they are
really
ferocious.
sweet.
Ferocious little monsters.
Go make yourself a hedgehog hotel. Thanks, everyone, says OLP, for a great show. We have to go. We'll see you again soon, OLP. And guess what? It is a clementine, not a clematis. So I've never heard this before. A nartji. Have you heard of that as a description of the clementine tree or clementine tree? So, but I think the same. It's the same advice, isn't it, Lee? You know, it's looking a bit
really
and yellow. Okay,
it's that time of year. Our leaves are turning slightly yellow as well, but plenty of feed on it, plenty of water. It'll bounce right back. It's just the time of year.
Okay, let's get to those last few questions then. Thank you for that, John. We have started gathering fallen oranges on a daily basis, as Louis, and juicing, then freezing it. That's a great way to save waste, isn't it? If you do hard prune, then pick the fruit from the pruned branches and start baking. Question from P. Any way of removing bees aside from getting my bee expert in who will make me have a hive? Too many mates with hives to bother with all that faff when I have free local honey. Has he got to get the experts in?
Leave them be. Just leave them alone. If it's bees, I would just always leave them. Unless it's obviously next to the house. But bees I would leave. Wasps, I would always try to disturb them and get rid of them. But if you wear a decent amount of clothes and poke it out the branch, let them fall onto the floor, then they'll clear off. They'll go somewhere else. Yeah. Okay.
Leave them be ideally and get a bit of a buzz out of them, Pete. As you would expect me to say. We love honey and have more given to us almost monthly. No intention to have our own bees, though. That sounds lovely. It's hard enough to keep them from swarming into the Gisto wall, so not welcome there either. Question from Eric. For you, Lee, we enjoy fruits from our Puteria sapota, the mamai tree. I'm wondering if they would also grow in Portugal. Do you know this, the Puteria sapota, the mamai tree?
No, it's something I have to Google. It's not something I've come across before.
I'll see if I can find out for you what the mamai looks like. Oh my goodness, that's an interesting looking thing. I will give you a little bit of a close up of that just in case that helps. But we've located it, but I don't really recognize it here as a fruit. Do you know? Does anyone? Was somebody else trying to say something?
In Mexico. Is he moving in from Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It'll grow here. If it grows in Mexico, it'll grow here. But no, it's not a fruit I recognise either. No,
me neither. But it looks like a kind of plum almost, doesn't it? With a lychee-like stone in the middle of it. Thank you for that suggestion. But yeah, as Lee says, if it grows in Mexico, it'll probably grow here.
Just thinking on, we've talked about this in the past. Importation of plants is a bit of an issue. So maybe it'd be better off to move over on his own and try to find one that's available in Europe. I'm sure there'll be a specialist somewhere that sells one, but it shouldn't be smuggling seeds of plants over the border. We can't condone that action.
No, we do not support that sort of business. Thanks, Lee. I'll leave the banana tree, says Marty. Should we buy the property that has a large one in the garden? There is room for it. That's great to hear. The banana lives to see another day under your husbandry there. Lee, how is your jasmine doing now? I did feed mine with a liquid feed, but leaves all still looking brown and dry. Not sure how much water to give it. As I read, they don't like too much. It looks very dry, though. How's your jasmine doing? Is it struggling as well, Lee?
Yeah, it's looking dry. They all are. But I've actually another sprinkler to the base of it 2 weeks ago. It's still looking dry, but they're looking dry everywhere. It's just the time of year. Yeah.
All right, there you go, Iris. We do sympathise with your situation at the moment. It's not gone very well for you with some of the pictures you've been sending us, but don't lose heart. Keep going. Tune in again next week, 6:15, where we invite you all to do so. Thank you so much for all your comments and questions tonight. It's been really brilliant. Paul, Louise, Lottie, Ben Haja. That's right. And Fika Bain, muito obrigado to you. Pete, very grateful to you, as well as I'm sure to the head gardener here. And we will see you next week. Thanks for the info. The fruits are pretty big, 20 centimetres long and 15 centimetres in diameter. And very sweet. Great for making into ice and for other desserts. Sounds like we do want them here. That sounds interesting. But we've got to go now. Thank you so much for being here. I had lots of lovely pictures of my plot. I shall carry them forward to next week and hope that you send us some as well on 913-590-303. See you next week. Thank you very much, indeed, everybody. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, John. Thank you, Head Gardener McGrady. Bye.